Alright, we be streaming, huh? Yep, I think we're streaming. Whew. Alright, I'm at Paul Joseph Watson's Twitter page. Got some cell phone notification. Let's see what's up. Cool. Alright, guys, just wanted to touch base with you guys. Something really bad is happening. Well, it's not like we didn't expect this. The censorship has started. The Facebook purge has began. And I guess it's only a matter of days before the other purges, Apple, Twitter, and those things also began. So for those of you who don't know, Facebook has banned a lot of people. And the way the media is trying to portray is Facebook has banned a certain group of people. And they want to lump all these group of people into one. So the media, you probably, if you Google CNN and BuzzFeed and stuff like that, you'll hear them say Facebook has banned controversial extremist thinkers. And it would include a picture of Louis Farrakhan and a picture of Paul Joseph Watson. Because, I don't know, the idea is to make normies believe that these guys are essentially the same. And if you silence these guys, making people believe that becomes very easy. I wonder if my audio is doing okay. So that's essentially something. Anyways, so Paul Joseph Watson is banned on Facebook. Laura Loomer is banned on Facebook. Milo Yiannopoulos is banned on Facebook and on Instagram as well. Now, I know a lot of people want me to start with a qualifier saying, listen, I don't agree with everything Paul Joseph Watson says or whatever. I'm not going to give those qualifiers. Of course, I don't agree with everything everyone says. We all have our disagreements. But this is really important because when Alex Jones got banned, a lot of the establishment conservatives and establishment Republicans, at least stateside, I don't know what's happening outside, were under the impression they deluded themselves into thinking that people are not going to come after them. Well, that's not going to happen. I don't know why the establishment people don't realize this. And also, I think in the United States, the establishment conservatives, they don't really understand technology as much as we want them to. Anyways, the bottom line is the banner of censorship, it's only going to increase. And what I want people watching, if you guys want to follow Paul Joseph Watson, summit.news, I think this is his own site. I think he might be starting his own thing. Do follow him. I don't know much about how to follow Laura Loomer. I'm not really familiar with her content, to be all that honest. And I don't know how to follow Milo Yiannopoulos. I know they're on YouTube for the time being. If you guys know where people can follow Laura Loomer and Milo Yiannopoulos outside of YouTube, drop it in the comment section. Other people might help. And what Facebook's doing is that you also can't share links associated with anything that Paul Joseph Watson does or anything Infowar does. And if this does not wake up the conservative side of the politics, I don't know what will. During Alex Jones' hearing, I remember seeing Marco Rubio, the senator, the Republican senator, say that he is not even aware that there is an anti-right-wing bias in Twitter. He is not even aware of that. So that's a very hopeless situation. Now, to explain to people as to what's really going on and why the problem is bad, it's not just that these people are banned because they're conservatives. That's not the only thing that's happening here. A lot of people are probably saying, and particularly virtue signaling libertarians, those guys really annoy me sometimes. As a libertarian, I don't like the virtue signaling. So a lot of people go like, hey, you guys are pro-free market, you want the government to intervene and all this. They get access to that audience for their advertisers. Facebook and the pages on Facebook, people like Paul Joseph Watson and Laura Loomer, those guys are not just users, those guys are business partners with Facebook. They create the audience, Facebook gets access to that audience. And they enter that partnership by signing a contract, which is similar to our terms of service. What Facebook is doing essentially is that they are not following their own contracts. Now, if you are as pro-free market as I am, are are individual businesses allowed to renege on their own contracts without having any consequences? I mean, does that fall under the definition of free market? I don't know. Without proper contracts, I don't know if that's an actual thing. I don't know how people can say, let the free market handle this, and then allow these businesses to not follow the contracts that they themselves signed. So that's one thing. The other thing that's particularly happening, this is particularly dangerous, outside of banning Paul Joseph Watson, outside of banning Laura Loomer and those other guys, Milo, Facebook and Twitter is interfering in elections, perhaps to a much bigger scale than most people, whether you're left leaning, whether you're right leaning. They're interfering in elections to an extent that all of us across the political spectrum should be uncomfortable with. In the UK, Twitter is, ugh, man, if you guys ever use online video converter, please don't use it without a pop-up blocker like I did. Anyways, so Twitter is banning ad campaigns and the election campaigns from Tommy Robinson, Sargon of Akkad, and Count Dankula, all three running as for MEPs under the UKIP. So Twitter is essentially not allowing certain election campaigns, and once again, their justification is virtually non-existent. So look at this. Let's zoom out a little bit. Do we want Facebook and Twitter to have some pull on politicians? Think about this. If whether you're left leaning or whether you're right, that's besides the point. Do we want the people that we elect in office they're already controlled by tons of lobbying groups. And I'm not necessarily against lobbying. Lobbying has pros and cons. That's not what I'm talking about. But they're already under the thumb of special interest groups. Some we know. Do we want Silicon Valley to be an extra special interest group that politicians need to bend down to? Is that something that any of us on the political spectrum really believe? And going back to the free market argument, what's particularly important is that Facebook, they have no transparency. They're essentially saying that these are extremist people, we're going to ban them straight off. And what example do they have for their extremist behavior? Facebook has not provided any single example. And I'm pretty sure other Silicon Valley people, they're going to follow suit. So if you guys want to keep up with Paul Joseph Watson, summit.news, that's the website. Do follow him there. I don't care if you like him. I don't care if you dislike him. If you're someone who believes in following dissenting voices, this is important. For those of you guys that watch my content, you guys know that I watch the Young Turks sometimes. I mean, I do videos about them, so I have to watch them. I watch MSNBC sometimes on YouTube. Following dissenting voices is pivotal. And if dissenting voices die out, we all lose. I don't care what political spectrum you lean towards. So the other important thing that's important is that Facebook's contract, we're talking about the terms of service. Facebook right now has zero transparency with regards to its terms of service. That's not good. So what I want folks, and I think James Woods also got Trump fires of tweet storm on social media censorship of conservatives, names James Woods and Paul. Is James Woods also gone from Twitter? Dang. James Woods. Sorry guys, my internet is not... Oh, okay, he seems to be here. Maybe he was gone. Verified account for James Woods. I have no other Twitter account, no Facebook account, nor any other Gab account. These are all phony. Okay. So James Woods is still here for now. So anyways, guys, the point is we want some form of transparency from these guys, right? And they're not showing us that transparency. And this goes beyond, and this is where I wish a lot of libertarians would come on board. This is beyond the Silicon Valley giants. The same people that are pressurizing Facebook and Twitter. By the way, every act of censorship that's coming from Silicon Valley is not necessarily coming from the boardrooms of Facebook and Twitter. They're being pressured by left-leaning activists. The same people are also pressuring payment processes like Stripe, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard. So for all the free market people who are as sympathetic to the free market as I am, in a free market, you gotta have other alternatives that is allowed to compete. They should be allowed. If they fail, they fail, but they should be allowed. Every time another company tries to compete with the Silicon Valley giants, whether it's Gap, whether it's BitChute, whether it's Minds, whether it's, I think StreamMe died a few days ago, or a few weeks ago to be accurate, they run into the same set of problems. They get barred by all the payment processes. Their web hosts refuse to host their websites. They constantly have to look for new web hosts. So right now, Silicon Valley is at a position where they're actively trying to squash competition before and not create any level of any playing field. Facebook, Google, and Twitter has effectively ensured that there will not be another Facebook, Google, or Twitter. And that is just the sad reality. And listen, I'm not a fan of government regulations. I don't trust the government with anything. But if we have a government and they're not even going to make private companies stick to their own contracts that they designed themselves, I don't know why we have a government. If Facebook's terms of service includes that they're not going to allow people on their platform with red hair, for example, fine, let them include that in their terms of service. At that point, Facebook becomes the New York Times. But right now, Facebook, acting like the New York Times, does not have any of the legal liabilities that the New York Times have. This is not free market, this is cronyism. And if you are sympathetic to the free market, if you are a libertarian, this should not be something that you tolerate. So what can people like us do? We need to make some noise because this is the last stand. Try to contact your senators. Tweet at them if you're allowed on Twitter, that is. Email them. Call them up. Do something. Let your senators know. This is something that I've noticed in the States. Our politicians, particularly on the right side of the spectrum, they don't seem to be aware of technology and what this social media sphere is. And because they are not aware, they don't necessarily understand that this is perhaps the last, what would I call it? The last bastion? That might be too strong of a word. But one of the last places on the planet where we can somehow fight the narrative of mainstream media. If dissenting voices dies on social media, as of right now, there are no substitutes. And there most likely will not be a substitute in my lifetime if Twitter does not stop bossing around payment processes. MasterCard has also banned Laura Loomer and other people. I think it was just Visa for the time being, but now MasterCard has joined in. This is not good. And we gotta make as much noise as we can, because a lot of the establishment Republicans and establishment conservatives think that they're immune. This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well for any of us. So guys, make as much noise as you can. Contact your senators. Call them if you can. Reach out to them. Tweet at them. And for the time being, the people that got banned, Paul Joseph Watson, follow him on Summit News. It's pretty bad, but at the same time, we all expected this, right? We knew eventually we're gonna have to make a lot of noise. It's getting there. Let's make noise before it gets too late. I'll touch base with you guys later. Take care.